Happy Monday to all my folks out there. I am Erica, the host of Give a Sister a Hug, Mindful Moments. And I want to thank you for coming on this journey with me so that I can bring awareness to you on the different mental illness disorders that we have. So for the next couple of weeks, we're going to start talking about mood disorder. And mood disorder has several different categories. Major depression, bipolar, um, and it's another one. But we're going to talk about it for the next 3 weeks and we're going to break those down to you. So I want to let you guys know that this episode is sponsored by Marie's Aroma Bees nonprofit organization. You can find them on Instagram at Marie's Aroma Bees nonprofit organization. And you can check out their website at mariesaromabeesmp.com. So I want to thank you for joining me and let's get into our talk today. And as the screen will come up and you will see our first slide is what is major depression disorder, MDD. You may hear people call it MDD, or also you may hear doctors call it depression, reoccurring depression, or just simply depression. And what that means is major depression has several names, and you might hear one physician call it one, you might hear one MP call it another thing, but it all is major depression. So mental disorder classified as several low moments of no clear. And what that means is they're having these low moments, but it's unclear of why they're having those low moments. But like we say, mental illness affects our emotional and our behavior. And this is an emotional thing. It's just that they're feeling down. They're having those down moments. Life is just lifing and it's wearing on it. And it's unclear of why. It's no specific thing of, oh, it's because of this or it's because of that. It's just no unclear moment. Just like with high blood pressure, you can say, oh, it's because you may be eating and taking too much of salt or this, but it's unclear of what's going on at that moment for someone that's dealing with depression. Now, this can last up to 2 weeks, which is a long time, but you really can't say that some people have it for 2 weeks and some people don't. You just never know what that person may be going through right now. Remember, and this is a small tip that we want to take, do not, with someone that's having this episode, do not allow them to make life decision changes because they're in a state of mind where things are just not clear. They're not focused. So it's best that you not let your loved ones or friends or even neighbor make these life changing decisions because it can be something that they don't want. Maybe once they get out of have finished having an episode of low moments. So do not allow someone who's having their low moment, which is going through depression. Allow them to come out of that episode, and after, then they can make those decisions if that's what they still want to do. So remember, do not allow someone who's having a major depression disorder episode at the moment make life changes. So we clear on that. Do not allow them to make life changing decisions because they're not in their right mind. The next slide is we're going to talk about who can suffer from MDD. Everybody. Children, adolescents, and adults. But onset MDD occur in children, adolescents, and young and older adults. But more common ages are 20 to 40 years old. So that again, with any mental illness, we all could suffer from it. But it's just it go through its stages and then it have its age limit where it's more common. And I think what I have seen in my experience, maybe someone 11 diagnosed with mental or major depression. So the ages that's just common, and that's just something that maybe are average. But as we see, we can go children and adolescents, and children is younger, and adolescents are I think I want to say adolescence starts at the age of 14. So they can get major depression disorder too. So let's talk about the symptoms. They're very low, sad, tearful, hopeless, and empty. Those are our feelings. That's what we feeling at the moment. That's what's going on. And we just don't know why. Like they're going through this. And it's up to us to be mindful of what they're going through and how they're feeling. They could lose interest or pleasure in the activity that they previous enjoyed. So if they love going to bingo and you like, let's go to bingo, and they're like, no, I don't want to, they're moving and they're having their time. And all we could do is allow them to have their time, but they can't stay there. So it's up to us to be mindful and aware. That's why I'm here bringing awareness to major depression. They can always seem withdrawal. Withdrawal mean they don't want to be bothered. They don't want to be bothered with the world around them at the moment because they're at a low point. So give them that time. But we can't let them stay there for a very long time. I'm saying I'm gonna say 3 days, let alone 2 weeks, because anything could happen in 2 weeks. So just be mindful of that. They have thoughts of feeling worthless, helpless, or even guilty about what's going on with them. They feel like they're not worthy of nothing. They're helpless. They can't help nobody. They can't help themselves. Which is truly, when you're depressed, I mean, you really can't, because you're having that low moment and you're not in a happy space, and that's understandable. And someone that suffers from major depression can also have suicide thoughts or even attempt them. So that is why we have to be up on our game of knowing and seeing the signs, because these are common symptoms that someone with major depression is going through, and that's when we need to seek help. Now, they say, as it's saying in books and different things, that the first two are two major symptoms of disorder, major depression disorder. I feel like all of them are very important, because especially this last bullet point, suicide. We have the suicide numbers are rising high. So that's why I want to bring awareness to you of these different mental disorders that's going on, so that you can know, or if you see it in a loved one or a friend or a neighbor, that we could help them so that they won't get to this point of suicide, because we want to try to bring those numbers down. And our kids, children, even adults have suicide thoughts, and we don't want them to act on it. So, children and adolescents with mental disorder, they can seem irritable, than depressed, because with children, it's a lot going on with them. It's a lot that they have to process in their mind of what's going on with them. Because even with us older adults, it's a lot for us to process that's having major depression. But for a child, they may be a little bit more irritable, aggravated, don't want to be bothered. You may tell them to go clean their room. They giving you a fuss. Have the conversation. And this is my concern, when a child is um especially our little people, when they're very fussy and they're being defiant and not want to go do what they need to do. Parents, let's have conversations with our little people, because it's important that we sit down and have these conversations. Have 5 minute talk with them. Find out what's going on with them. Even for us girls, with our little girls, let's have play dates. Let's go out on a date. Let's go get our nails and just start that small talk. Small talk will take us a long way. That way we know what kind of help or what they're going through at the moment. We have to listen to our little people. And sometimes they may lose interest in school and their academics may plummet. All that's signs that we have to be on guard with our children and our adolescents. Because please believe me, they give us signs every day, but we just don't. Sometimes we just don't see them because we're not taking that time to sit down and maybe 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, even at night when it's bath time, just go up in there and just have a conversation with them and see what they tell you and listen. I mean, active listen to what they have to say because that's all they need. And for major depression for adults, and I'm looking at the bottom, I wrote some side notes. Major depression disorder in adults often occur in onset physical disorder. And physical disorder and mental disorder, they all go the same. One is not important than the other. They both are important. As I say, if our physical disorder is out unregulated and not being treated, that means we having a mental. People that have strokes, they suffer from depression because they don't went through this major change in their life to where, they may be paralyzed on one side. That's depression. That brings on depressed because I'm not sure if my left side gonna be okay. I'm not sure if my right side, even like with people with strokes, they mouth droop. They go through so much. So adults with depression, even with cardiovascular disease, that sets on they have depression. So what adults is again is if your physical not in order, your mental. If your mental not in order, then you start experiencing a physical disorder. So we have to be mindful that one plays off the other. So we have to take care of both, not just one, both. Let's talk about how they diagnose major depression disorder. You have to have these frequent symptoms that lasts up to 2 weeks. But me, myself, I'm always on a caution. I want to go 2 or 3 days. I'm going to say 2 or 3 days, and then we start talking to our PCPs because 2 weeks, I feel like it's longer, but reading different things and learning different things and talking to different doctors that I work with, 2 weeks is about the minimum that they look for frequent, like having these highs and low moments because they're going to have some low moments. But just keep an eye out on what's going on. Now, if they having these frequent low moments like feeling down and depression and they're losing weight or gaining weight greater than 5% change in the month, and they sleeping less or sleeping too much or thoughts of suicide, we need to start getting some treatment. We need to start talking to our PCPs or we need to start talking to our mental health professionals. And that's very important so that they can diagnose you and not wait till the last minute because we don't want you to wait till the last minute to be diagnosed with major disorder, major depression disorder. So let's go to treatment because all mental illness disorder can be treatable. They can be treatable. All of them could be treatable. But it's up to you on how fast you get it treated. So some of it you have to be admitted in a psych hospital or behavioral health hospital because with children you could go to behavioral health hospitals to be treated. Antidepressant medicine for people who are experiencing MDD. Or you could have talk therapy. Talk therapy is like a life coach or individual and family therapist, someone professional that you can talk to get some of that stuff off your mind. So that's what we have. We have what's MDD, who can suffer from it, the different symptoms that we need to look out with in ourselves or our family, loved ones, or our neighbors, and what it can of how it can affect children and adults and adolescents and diagnose. We need to go get it diagnosed as soon as we start seeing these symptoms going on and knowing that every mental illness disorder can be treated. So I'm going to give you two coping skills, and at the end of each week, I'm going to provide you with two coping skills. It's 101 coping skills that's out there. The first two coping skills that I'm going to provide this week is music. Listening to music kind of brings you down, and you can be zen and bring you back to focus. People with major depression disorder like music. Music is one coping skill, and journaling is another coping skill that I like because you get to write your thoughts down. What's on your mind? I feel like if you write them down, your thoughts down, you could get them out of your head. And so that means it's not so much that's packed up in your head that you're thinking about, that you're trying to get through and process. Write them down on a piece of paper and let's get rid of them and just start journaling your feelings. So, here are some resources. As I told you guys before earlier in the episode, that this episode this week is sponsored by Marisa Roma B's nonprofit organization, which is out in the community helping youth and our adolescents. So go over and check it out. Suicide prevention number 911 if you need help. The crisis line 988. Even if you need to chat with someone on a crisis line. You know our teenagers, they like to go online and they like to text and chat. So if this is easier for them, let's have them to do this. If we know that they're having a problem or they need someone to talk to, let's pass this information on. So I provide a lot of information for you guys to jot certain things down and for you to see them. So I hope this been very education to you and we're I'm not a doctor. I'm not gonna pretend I'm no doctor, but I'm just here to bring awareness to major depression disorder so that if you see signs in your loved one or a friend or even your neighbor, let's talk about it. Hey neighbor, I see you been kind of low, sister, I see you been kind of tearful every day and I see you been in your little feelings. Let's talk about what's going on. And if you need to, let's get you a PCP appointment. Let's check in with your doctor and see if we could get you some help because we don't want this to prolong too long to where suicide set in. Our numbers with suicide are extremely high now. So let's try to bring those numbers down. And that's why I'm here, not as a doctor, but just someone who's bringing awareness to mental health disorder. So I want to thank you again for joining me this week. Next week, we're going to talk about bipolar. So have a great Monday and know that you're not alone. We're here with you.